the very basics of this type of anatomy, it kind of rolls with, like, if you can draw a circle, a triangle, a square, a rectangle, and ellipse, you can learn how to draw just about anything. And I have a couple of videos where I explain that a little bit more, but this is nice because I can stop and answer questions. So if I were drawing a person, you guys have seen me draw people, I usually start with kind of a rectangular shape for the torso. If I'm drawing, that's kind of just like my default person shape. If I'm drawing a woman, I may bring in the waist and have the shoulders and the hips kind of roughly the same. It does vary from character to character. Not every person is built the same ever, and that's why it's nice to be able to work from reference. There's all different types of bodies, and they're all valid. This is just a mass simplification, a massive reduction. So for drawing men, it's very similar. We still have the rectangle. I will just frequently give them slightly broader shoulders. Again, it's all just kind of a simplification. So I will usually start any drawing with a line of action that kind of captures the gesture of the movement. I'm going to do a demonstration where there's just somebody kind of standing in a neutral pose. They don't draw men ever. I'm just bad at drawing men. That's my problem. So I start with a line of action, and then I draw in the torso, and then I block in the rib cage. And last week we talked about it like an egg shape, and I block in the pelvis, which I think I compare to like the axle on a car or wheels on a car. I place the neck hole, and it's usually a circle or an ellipse depending on what view we're looking at. And then I do kind of this little bow shape that connects the two shoulders. It's like the collarbone, but not really a one-to-one representation. So this, the way I'm showing you guys, this is what I've used for my comics. You can add more detail, you can be more accurate. I don't necessarily need all of the extra stuff for how I draw, so I don't always use it. And I loaned out two of my favorite anatomy books in class. I loaned out Andrew Loomis's Figure Drawing for All It's Worth and the Glenn Philpott Drawing Manual. Otherwise, I would just show you guys in the books what I like about it. I do have Jack Ham's Drawing the Head and Figure, and I will flip through that and show you some stuff. This is a great book. This is not necessarily an anatomy text on its own, but the way he shows you how to draw certain things is really, really good, and I'm excited about getting to work through it when I have time. So I'm kind of planning a workshop at some point in the nebulous future where it's called From Stick to Figure, and the whole premise is if you can draw a stick figure, you can draw people. And then I just block in the feet with little triangles and block in the hands with circles or like mitt kind of things. And then I block in the head with an oval. And that's just kind of like the basic way I draw people. Now, one of the exercises I found really helpful from Andrew Loomis's Figure Drawing for All It's Worth is his mannequin template, his skeleton template. This is like one of the introductory exercises, and it's just drawing this kind of basic skeleton in multiple different poses. And what I like about this is the proportions have already been figured out, so you really just focus on drawing the pose you see in this skeletal form, and just practicing it over and over and over again, because a lot of drawing people is either you're drawing from reference or you're pulling from your memory of how people move and how people behave. So so this was really, really helpful for me when I was first learning how to draw people. And I think I've obviously kept some parts of it, like the rib cage is not exact, but it's similar. The way I include the pelvis is similar. The way I draw in the upper legs are similar. Would you drop a link to save Andrew Loomis? So once I have the skeletal form down, I pretty much just use cylinders to kind of flesh it out. And just a refresher, cylinder looks like this. When I'm drawing arms and legs, I will often taper it. And that just comes from having drawn from reference for so long. And the cylinders, a lot of basic how to draw people books will, and I hate how it looks. I hate how they do it. It's like they're doing like oblong and then a ball, like a ball joint, and then another oblong, and then another ball joint, oblong, right? Like I'm sure you guys have seen what I'm talking about. And like some people do it like this and it works for them. But this method of drawing kept me from ever making any progress because I didn't really understand the forms of the body. So I couldn't draw people in different poses, in different dimensions, sort of thing. Can you do a test and see if Patreon's down? It could be your internet connection, but I don't actually know. Joseph's going to do a test to see if Patreon is just not loading this evening. Because sometimes they do site maintenance. Okay, so he had a problem too. It loaded and then it went away for him. So I think Patreon's having issues tonight. It's what are React errors? Okay. So they're having maybe database. Okay, so Patreon's having problems tonight. Hey Madeline, how are you? I'm doing a more in-depth figure drawing demonstration. No problem, Lindsay. Thank you for trying. So going from like those oblong, ovally kind of things to thinking about it as cylinders. So like this is a cylinder, it's a three-dimensional shape. I can rotate it in space, and we're still going to be drawing either circles or ellipses and two straight lines, like no matter how you rotate it. Thinking about the human body more in that way, rather than in this, for me, very abstract kind of way, was a huge leap forward. It was so helpful for me. So this is kind of just my basic, this is how Becca draws people. And I don't think I ever really talked about drawing people in profile or in other views. So I'm going to do a 3/4 view because of course it's YouTube. So I still have kind of a rectangular shape. And I go ahead and I add that third dimension. And that just sort of helps me visualize the pose, how it's turned in space a little bit better. And I'm going to try and rotate all of my forms to fit within that. So it means some are, well, all of them are going to be foreshortened to some degree, but some are going to appear much more different, appear differently than the straight on view. So I've also started to rotate the wedges that I draw for feet. I mean, so I'm gonna get to that, Jen. So the benefit of doing collaborations on YouTube is it helps both parties involved, that both parties have a channel with videos, because you can be like, hey, check out Jen famous art channel. Check out her art. I did a collab with her. You guys should click there. So my viewers will go and check your stuff out to see what that's about. And then on your end, you can say, oh, go check out Becca Hilburn's art. She's the other half of this collab. So you send your viewers over there as well. And drawing things as simplified forms, for me, it helps me be able to move and pose things without necessarily having reference. And I mean, drawing from reference is good. It can make you a stronger artist. It can make what you're drawing look more believable to those who are, you know, observing your art. But we don't always have that as an option. You know, if I'm at a show and I'm working on a commission and they want me to draw them in a certain pose, my phone can only have, you know, there's only so much screen real estate at a time that I can pull up. So, you know, it's more important to me to capture the likeness of their face than it is to Google their pose. So being able to like maintain that information in my head is really helpful. I am running out of sharp enough pencils. Surprise! Garbage! Okay, and then I'm going to do a profile sketch. So in this view, the rectangle is almost entirely turned on its side, so we're only seeing a little bit of it. And I'm only showing you guys this as like a kind of an introduction, like to wet your whistle. I want you guys to look up the books that I mentioned and work from those, because I really, really recommend them. And I feel like they're going to cover this material so much better than I'm going to cover this material. But even though I spend a lot of time constructing these figures, it's much quicker for me than drawing something, it doesn't look right, erasing it. Drawing it again, it doesn't look right, erasing it. So to me, it's like a it's a front-end investment, sorry, that people don't always see, but it has really paid off for me because I'm faster, I can draw things more consistently. Before I had kind of a system for anatomy, you know, 1 out of 10 times I might draw someone the way I saw it in my head and the way I wanted it to turn out. Whereas with this, I would say 9 out of 10 times. I have to be having a bad day for it to really 100% not turn out the way I want. For sure, you can definitely draw realistic characters of your own creation. Or do you mean, are you having a hard time cartooning stuff? I will check that out after the stream, Tyra. So, regarding faces, I have a system for drawing heads and faces as well. And this is kind of a combination of Andrew Loomis, Bern Hogarth, and a teacher who taught at SCAD, Paul Hudson. And the way all of them do it is much more complicated what I'm showing you guys here. This is a very simplified version. And so what I have here is a printout of some head turnarounds that I did a while back. And I'm going to show you guys how I draw the head and how I kind of end up with this. So as you guys know, the head is kind of a sphere and then it's kind of elongated in the front. So I start with a circle and I go ahead and I subdivide it vertically and horizontally. And that's going to help me find the midpoint of my circle, and that's where I'm going to put my eyes. Now, our heads aren't perfectly round. They're kind of flattened off where the ears are. So if I'm drawing kids, I don't normally flatten it out that much because kids kind of have round heads. But for adults, especially men, I'll flatten that out. And then I kind of sketch in the bottom of the jaw. Now, if we're drawing this all the way through as like a three-dimensional object that we can hold, this would be the underside of the jaw, this would be the back part of the underside, and this is where the skull connects to the neck. Okay, so a realistic human face is 5 eye widths wide. But I have a really cartoony style and I draw really big eyes. So mine are really 4 eye widths wide. So I draw an eye in the middle of the face because your eyes are spaced 1 eye width apart. And then I place my eyes on either side. Now, halfway down from this eye line to the bottom of your chin is generally where your nose goes. I mean, different people have different facial features, but this is just kind of a generic rule of thumb. And then halfway between the bottom of the nose and your chin is generally, again, where your mouth goes. Your ears, to think about it, sorry, your ears are from the tops of your eyebrows to the bottom of your nose. And there can be style variation. No, wait a minute. It's from the tops of your eyes, right? Now I'm going to have to look it up. Confuse myself. Because they're looking kind of big. And I'm drawing them kind of sticky outy so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I kind of draw these circles around the eyes, and that helps me place the eyebrows. Now, halfway from the middle of the face to the top of the head, that's going to be where your hairline generally starts. So just knowing about these proportions and where everything kind of lines up, it makes it easier to draw features in the future. Now, generally, noses are somewhat triangular. And that can be kind of a useful shorthand. That's the way a lot of people kind of caricature noses. And of course, our eyeballs are balls, but since I have kind of a cartoony style, I don't necessarily always think about them as three-dimensional objects the way I ought to. And there's a lot of information both online and definitely at your local library on how to draw a face realistically. I'm not really going to cover that here. That's not really my strong point. Nobody watches this channel for realistic drawings. Yes, I need to do another hourly comic. Woo! And also give me kind of an opportunity to get caught back up with the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna doodle some heads looking in different directions. I am not like the best at that, okay? It's something I struggle with, but it's good practice, right? We're gonna practice together. So, and also it'll give me an opportunity to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So what I really like about using kind of like, I call it like the sphere and spade method, but nobody seems to know what I'm talking about. So I need a better name for it, is that if you can rotate the sphere, it's going to make drawing the face a lot easier, especially the more you practice doing kind of constructive faces like this. And what I really recommend is you practice drawing these face like the constructive form, the very basic form, from like reference, photo reference, or even, you know, referencing yourself in the mirror. And don't worry too much about the features, just worry about like copying the major forms of the face. And this circle around the eye to mark the eyebrow thing, that was something I picked up from Walt Stanchfield's Drawn to Life. So it's a series, it's 2 volumes, it's a series of lectures in like his lecture notes basically from when he was teaching Disney animators how to draw. Because they will do like weekly lectures and weekly lessons on that, which I think is really cool. I love any company, any business that makes it a point to continue their employees' education. And I think we've really, as artists, we've like really been pushed away from that, because a lot of what we get paid to do is freelance, so they expect us to be awesome already. They don't want to pay to like help us develop necessarily. But like if you look at like the developer community, for example, they often, if they're like full-time employed, they'll get paid to go to conferences. So I'd like to see that change for artists. I would like us not to have to be amazing and perfect just to be worthy of any job at all. Okay, that is a big cranium. And y'all are about to see my weakness. Drawing the head from a full frontal view, looking down or looking up, is really hard for me. Another thing is the ears. When you're looking down, the ears appear to rise on the head. And now I'm going to do the bravest trick of all because I'm really bad at it. I'm going to draw somebody looking up from a full frontal view, and I have to think about it because I need to think about it's very hard for me. I'm not good at it at all. But I actually like failing in front of you guys because I don't know. I like seeing other artists like try and fail because it's like a reminder that everyone is learning and everyone is growing. See, that's a fail. That will not work. That is not good. Let me do another one. Draw a cube in perspective and set off. Oh, okay. Wait, let's try it like that. Because there's so many different methods to do these sort of things. Like every drawing book will have a different method, it seems like. And, you know, that doesn't make any of them not valid. It just means you got to find the one that works for you. So this is our face side. Now I'm going to have to resort to what I know. So I'm going to put a sphere in here. So sort of like that, or with the face fitting entirely into the cube. I mean, what I show you guys is just what works for me. So please find what works for you. Take whatever works and add it to whatever else you like from other people. It's all about finding something that helps you be the best artist you can be. Like that. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. I'll respond with my mailing address then. Hitting the face inside the cube. I'm not dismissing the value of it. I can, woo, lab. I can see the value in it. I just don't, I would struggle with it because I'm going to end up drawing the sphere in the cube anyway. But I can see how it would be helpful for people. I'm going to try drawing a face looking up again because I like torturing myself. There is Proco and Schoolism. They both share tutorials pretty regularly. Alfonso Dunn has a YouTube channel which is very, very drawing focused. Jeremy also has a really good drawing YouTube channel. This is one I feel like to be the most successful. I really need to reference this. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. For sure. I think if you could send me a tutorial on it, I would understand what you're talking about a little bit better. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily see the entire underside of somebody's face anyway. I'm about to show you guys what I'm looking at. Okay, so she's looking up, and you see I did it way too extreme. So I'm going to try it again from reference. see it now? Is that better? Okay. It is better. I hate drawing way over here though. It's murder on my back. I will. Like you only see a little bit of the underside of her chin. I miss doing more faces from that face. If you don't use skills, you end up losing them.